name is Jason Christopher. I am an instructor for the SANS Institute, and I am also one of the authors for ICS456. ICS456 is a course that is really drilled into the comprehension of what do we do in the power sector to secure our systems, but also maintaining compliance with the NERC CIP standards themselves. I actually come from a background where I helped develop these standards. So I worked for the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission early on in my career. I was the version 5 technical lead for the NERC CIP standards. And so a lot of the lessons learned about how do we actually audit these standards, how do we comply with them, and how do we actually put them into implementation comes out of that background.
My name is Tim Conway. I'm the author and an instructor for the ICS456 course. This is a course that is really geared towards the North American bulk power sector and all of the asset owners and operators that are within it. So people from power generation to transmission to control center operations and all of the cybersecurity requirements they have to comply with.
So what people need to understand about the NERC CIP regulations, there are over 1,200 utilities in North America that have to comply with these standards. Literally over my career, I've probably seen 4,000 ways that the requirements have been interpreted. So having ICS456 allows students to get a common comprehension about what they need to do to be secure, also be compliant with these standards.
Reading a requirement may seem simple, but when you try to identify how you do it across these different devices and domains, it becomes very challenging. And the regulations continue to change. So within each set of requirements, you will have a standard that changes and they're not all kept in sync. It really called for a 5-day course to identify all of these standards at point in time where they're at and meet the students where they are as well within their organization.
One of the things that makes ICS456 unique is actually where it came from and its origin story and how we wrote it. And it comes from the perspective of both asset owners and people who do compliance and audits. So you look at the source material, we actually bring a lot of the conversation from what auditors are currently doing as well as what asset owners are actually implementing. You weave that over the past 5 days where we're talking through these problems and how to interpret things, and that's the recipe for success that you get out of ICS456. So thinking through the ideal audience for ICS456, I would actually say it's anybody who touches a NERC CIP program. In particular, I would really stress CIP senior managers. So the person who is in your program developing what's happening, but also at the end of the day, they're signing their name on the dotted line saying that yes, we are in compliant. This would be a great course for them because they're gonna learn not just the basics, but you get to see everything across the entire program. All the different requirements, all the different standards that you need. That means it's also valuable though for almost anybody touching NERC CIP.
I will tell you in ICS456, I see people leaving class after they've heard something to go back and call their office to talk about, we need to do this, we need to change that. Can you tell me how we're doing this? Because I want to ask the instructor more questions. So it's not when they return to work, and we give them some level of caution and care. If there's somebody new from an organization that is coming to ICS456 and they leave with 11, 12, 13 pages of notes, we say, don't go back to work and start beating everyone over the head with this and saying we're doing it wrong. Try to learn and understand what your program is and why it's that way, and then start improving your program based on what you've learned.
To learn more about ICS456, go ahead and go to sans.org/ICS456 and learn more about how you can secure power systems and the grid.